I got a job at Taco Bell. There are strange rules to follow. Hey everyone, just a quick reminder, only about a quarter of you watching are subscribed to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, tapping that subscribe button would really support the channel's growth. And while you're at it, smash that like button. It helps tremendously and tells me you're loving the content. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's get into the story. I never imagined that my gaming obsession would land me here, under the harsh glow of a Taco Bell drive-thru, taking orders from people who sound like they have burrito wrappers lodged in their throats. But hey, I needed the money. My paper route was drying up, and I still had payments left on my custom gaming setup. Fortnite wasn't going to pay for itself. It all started last Saturday. Me, Ryan, and Sam were on our usual gaming grind, getting absolutely annihilated by a squad of 10-year-olds with god-tier aim. Between matches, Ryan took a slow pull from his blunt and said, "Yo, Jake, you should just sell foot pics or something, bro, easy cash." Or, I countered, I could just get a regular job like a normal person. Sam burst out laughing. Yeah, because a normal job would totally hire you. Harsh. But fate had its own plans. The next day, I drove past Taco Bell, half starving, half defeated, and saw something magical, now hiring night shift. It was like the universe had aligned. I love Taco Bell. Taco Bell, apparently, loved me. A perfect match. I filled out an application online in 2 minutes and got a response back in 1. Either they were desperate, or I was actually employable. By Monday night, I was standing inside the sacred halls of the Bell, decked out in my fresh, one-size-fits-nobody uniform, meeting my manager, Mike. Mike was an experience. Imagine if a cigarette could talk. He had a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, smelled like burnt coffee, and had the energy of a DMV worker on their final shift. "You the new guy?" he asked, barely looking up from his phone. "That's me," I said, fully prepared to serve up some fire sauce and mild disappointment. He exhaled like he regretted all his life choices. "All right, Jake, listen up. Night shift's different. You got 2 jobs, take orders, don't ask questions. We get unusual customers." "Unusual how?" Mike took a long sip from his already empty coffee cup. "You'll find out." Then, he handed me a list of rules. The drive-thru speaker is always on. If you hear static, ignore it. If you hear your own voice, unplug the headset and leave it off for 5 minutes. If a man in a suit orders a Ghost Supreme, tell him we're out. He may argue. We are always out. The back freezer must stay locked at all times. If you hear knocking from inside, do not open it. If you see a woman standing in the parking lot staring at the building, don't look at her. Don't acknowledge her. She'll leave before sunrise. At precisely 3:13 a.m., a car with no headlights will pull up. Take their order, but do not hand them food. They already have it. I stared at him, waiting for him to laugh. He didn't. "You're kidding, right?" I asked. Mike shook his head. "Follow the rules, Jake, or quit." At that moment, I had 2 thoughts. This was the most elaborate prank of all time. I was definitely not quitting. I needed that gaming PC. So, I forced a laugh and said, "Got it, boss. No ghost tacos, no eye contact, no freezers. Simple." Mike clapped a hand on my shoulder like he was sending me to war. "Good luck, kid." And just like that, my first shift began. For the first hour, Taco Bell was chill. I made some soft tacos, avoided making eye contact with the one sketchy guy in the lobby, and pondered whether I was ethically obligated to tell customers that Baja Blast wasn't an authentic Mexican energy drink. Then, at midnight, things took a turn for the weird. I was at the register, scrolling through my phone between orders, when the drive-thru speaker let out a horrendous screech. Not just regular feedback, this sounded like a dying modem from the underworld. I winced and tore off my headset. But then, clear as day, I heard it. "Jake." It was my own voice. Like I had a long-lost twin trapped inside the speaker. "Nope. Nope. Nope." I yanked the cord out of the headset so fast I nearly gave myself whiplash. I turned to Mike, expecting him to be freaking out. He wasn't. He was leaning against the counter, sipping another cup of his imaginary coffee, completely unbothered. "Took you long enough," he muttered. "What the hell was that?" I demanded. Mike shrugged. "You heard your own voice, right? That means the system was listening. You unplugged it, so you're good. That's normal to you? More normal than what's coming." I wanted to quit on the spot, but then my brain reminded me I was broke and my gaming rig wasn't going to pay for itself. So, I took a deep breath and got back to work. For the next 30 minutes, everything seemed fine. I started convincing myself that maybe Mike was just messing with me. Maybe the speaker was just glitching. Maybe my voice was just echoing back. Then, at exactly 12:47 a.m., a car pulled up. I turned to take the order, but the screen was blank. Welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get for you?" Silence. "Hello?" Then, through the static, I swore I heard whispering. Not words, just soft, uneven breathing. Then a deep, gravelly voice muttered, "Ghost Supreme." I froze. Mike's rule number 2 hit me like a brick. If a man in a suit orders a Ghost Supreme, tell him we're out. He may insist. We are always out. I swallowed hard. Sorry, man. We're out." The drive-thru was eerily silent for a long moment. Then the voice came back. "Are you certain?" My stomach sank. The temperature in the kitchen seemed to plummet by 10 degrees. A thin mist formed with every breath I exhaled. I shot a glance at Mike. He was observing me, his eyes narrowed in scrutiny. I turned back to the screen. "Yeah, man, we're out. We don't even have that on the menu." A prolonged silence. Then, "Next time." And just like that, the car was gone. Not like it drove away, just gone. The camera feed outside showed absolutely nothing. No taillights. No vehicle. Just an empty parking lot. I ripped off my headset. "Dude, what the hell was that?" Mike took a slow sip of his imaginary coffee. "Ghost Supreme guy swings by every now and then. You handled it fine." "Handled it fine?" He just disappeared, man." "Yeah. Could have been worse." I stared at him. "Worse? What do you mean worse?" Mike didn't reply. He simply turned and muttered, "Go check the freezer." My stomach turned to stone. Rule number 3, the back freezer must stay locked at all times. If you hear knocking from inside, do not open it. I grabbed a broom, because, that's totally a ghost deterrent, and made my way toward the freezer. The door was locked. That was a relief. But then I noticed something else. Scratches. Deep, jagged marks running along the doorframe, as if something had tried to claw its way out. And then, knock. 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 I bolted back to the front so fast I nearly wiped out. Mike smirked. "Fun first night?" I shoved the headset at him. "Dude, you deal with this. I need a break." He chuckled. "Oh no, Jake. This is just the beginning." At this point, I was convinced that either Mike was pulling off the most elaborate prank of all time, or he had spent way too much time working graveyard shifts at this cursed fast food joint. I mean, in just a few hours, I had ticked off nearly every horror movie cliché: creepy voices over the headset, vanishing customers, a freezer that knocks back. And yet, Mike acted like this was just another Tuesday night at the Bell. I needed air. I stepped outside, inhaling lungfuls of greasy, burrito-scented night air. Big mistake. Because that's when I saw her. At the farthest edge of the parking lot, a woman stood perfectly still, facing the building. No movement. No blinking. Just staring. Rule number 4 hit me like a truck. If you see a woman standing in the parking lot staring at the building, do not make eye contact. Do not acknowledge her. She will leave before sunrise. Welp, time to go. I spun on my heel and power walked back inside like my survival depended on it, because it probably did. Mike was still at the counter, leisurely pretending to sip his fake coffee. I slammed the door shut behind me. Okay, who's the lady outside? He didn't even bother looking up. You made eye contact, didn't you? No! I threw up my hands. I almost did, but I remembered your weird rule list and walked away. We're good. Mike finally glanced at me. You sure about that? Yeah, dude, Then, from directly outside the front doors. Knock. Knock. My stomach bottomed out. Mike sighed. Damn it, Jake. I took a few steps back. Nope. Not dealing with that. That's your problem now. Mike strolled over to the door, peered through the glass, and muttered, "Ah, hell." I didn't want to look. I knew I shouldn't look. But of course, my horror movie brain curiosity betrayed me. She was right there. Inches from the glass. Pale. Too pale. Her skin had that unsettling paper white, corpse left in the freezer too long look. Her black hair fell over her face like she was auditioning for a Ring reboot. And her eyes? She didn't have any. Just dark, hollow sockets. I nearly screamed. Mike, however, didn't even flinch. He grabbed a handful of sauce packets from the counter, yanked the door open, and hurled them at her like they were sacred relics. I kid you not, she hissed like a cat and vanished into thin air. I blinked. Did you just exorcise a demon with? Mike dusted off his hands. Fire sauce, bud. I gawked at the scattered packets on the ground. What kind of Taco Bell is this? Mike clapped a hand on my shoulder. The only one hiring, bud. I hated that he was right. Somehow, I endured another 2 hours of work. The place was dead, which gave me way too much time to contemplate my life choices. Then, at exactly 3:13 a.m., I heard an engine. A car rolled up to the drive-thru. No headlights. The camera feed showed only the vague outline of a vehicle. No make. No model. Just darkness. Rule number 5 screamed in my head. At exactly 3:13 a.m., a car with no headlights will pull up. Take their order. But do not hand them food. They already have it. I inhaled sharply, put on my best fake customer service voice, and clicked the headset. Welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get for you? Silence. Then, in a voice so garbled it sounded like a corrupted MP3 file, the speaker crackled. Order received. A shiver ran down my spine. All right, I said, gripping the counter. Please pull forward. The car inched closer, but I couldn't make out who, or what, was driving. I grabbed a random bag of food, approached the window, and stared straight ahead. Do not hand them food. The window was ajar. A rush of icy air swept in, carrying the scent of scorched metal and something decayed. Then, from inside the vehicle, a hand emerged, its fingers unnaturally long, too many joints bending at odd angles. The skin looked wrong. I clenched my jaw, refusing to move. The hand lingered, twitching in the cold air, waiting. My fists tightened. We already gave you your order, sir. Silence. Then, abruptly, the hand recoiled back into the car. The engine gave a single rev, and just like that, the car vanished. Not drove away, vanished. It didn't accelerate. It simply ceased to exist. Mike let out a low whistle. Damn, kid. Not bad. I tossed the bag of food at him. I hate this job. He chuckled. You'll get used to it. I really didn't want to, but money was money. So, despite every rational part of me screaming otherwise, I finished my shift. When dawn finally arrived, I clocked out and stepped outside, half expecting another nightmare to be lurking in the shadows. Instead, I noticed something else. The fire sauce packets were still scattered on the pavement. And right next to them, Footprints. Not human. Something larger. Something with claws. Something that had been standing there all night, watching. At that moment, I had two choices. Quit Taco Bell immediately and never look back. Keep working, continue being haunted, and possibly get a raise. Unlikely. Unfortunately, my bank account demanded I stay. So here I was, clocking in for another shift, praying desperately that last night had been some bizarre fever dream. Spoiler, it wasn't. Mike greeted me with his usual exhausted nod. "Welcome back, champ. Thought you might quit." "Still considering it," I muttered, signing in. "Good. That means you've got some common sense." That wasn't exactly reassuring. The first few hours were eerily normal. No static in the headset. No phantom cars. No shadowy figures loitering in the parking lot. I started to believe, just for a moment, that maybe last night had been a fluke. Then, from the back, bang, bang, bang. I went rigid. Mike groaned. "Oh, for F***'s sake." Slowly, I turned toward the freezer door. It was open. Wide open. The same freezer that, per rule number 3, was supposed to stay locked. Always. Something moved inside. Not the kind of movement that could be blamed on a draft. No, this was deliberate, something shifting heavily in the darkness. Mike grabbed a mop, gripping it like a baseball bat. "All right. Which one of you frozen freaks is acting up tonight?" That was my cue to quit. To walk away. To run. But I didn't. Because then, something stepped out of the freezer. It's impossible to describe properly. It was tall, too tall to be human. Its body was wrapped in Taco Bell wrappers, as though its flesh was made of discarded burrito paper. And its eyes. Oh God, its eyes. They were deep, black voids, oozing some kind of thick, inky sludge. I didn't scream. I physically couldn't. The thing tilted its head at us, then, in a voice like wet, broken glass, it rasped. "Do you have any Diablo Sauce?" Mike and I exchanged a look. Then, without hesitation, Mike smacked it in the face with the mop. The creature let out a horrid, guttural screech and bolted through the back door like we had set it on fire. I stood there, stunned. What the actual hell was that? Mike tossed the mop aside. "Hell if I know." "You don't know? That's normal to you?" He shrugged. "Some nights are worse than others." I stared at the freezer. "Tell me we're locking that." Mike yanked a heavy chain and padlock from under the counter. "Yep." Clearly, we weren't the first ones to deal with this. After the freezer demon fiasco, I wanted nothing more than to go home. But I stuck it out, reminding myself that my beloved gaming PC depended on me. Then, just like the night before, at exactly 3:13 a.m., the headlight-less car appeared again. I clenched my fists. Not this again. Mike gestured toward the speaker. "Your turn." I swallowed hard and clicked the headset. Welcome to Taco Bell." Static. Then, the same distorted, unnatural voice, "Order received." My fingers curled against the counter. "We, already gave you your order." Silence. Then, a sound I can only describe as 1,000 wet mouths smacking in unison. I gagged. Mike patted my shoulder. "Nice. You're getting the hang of it." The car didn't move. It just sat there, waiting. A cold shiver ran down my spine. "What now?" Mike sighed, grabbed a fire sauce packet, and, before I could stop him, hurled it at the car. The second it made contact, the car flickered, like a glitched-out frame in a video game. Then, just like before, it was gone. Not drove away. Not sped off. It simply ceased to exist. I turned to Mike, absolutely over this night. "What the hell was that?" Mike stretched. "No clue." "Why does the fire sauce work?" He shrugged. Something about the heat or preservatives. Who knows? I massaged my temples. I hate this job. Mike smirked. Nah, you secretly love it. I absolutely, unequivocally did not. But I was still breathing, and for now, that was enough. At this point, my last 2 brain cells were screaming at me to walk away. But here's the thing, I needed this gig. Not because I was passionate about Taco Bell. Not because I enjoyed spending late nights with Mike. I needed my gaming PC. And so, despite every ounce of self-preservation, I showed up for my 3rd shift. I walked in expecting Mike to have another lineup of WTF moments waiting, but instead, he simply nodded and said, "Big night tonight, champ." I stopped mid-step. Define big. Mike pretended to sip from an invisible coffee cup. You ever wonder why this place is haunted? I blinked. Not particularly. Well, lucky you, because whatever's been lurking here, it's getting stronger. That was the last thing I wanted to hear. Halfway through the shift, the lights started flickering. Not the usual janky building kind of flicker. No, this was the full-blown horror movie, disorienting strobe light type. Then, bang! Something slammed into the back freezer door. I stiffened. Mike? Mike exhaled. Yep. It's time. Time for what? He tossed me a full bottle of Diablo Sauce. I barely caught it. Dude, this is not the moment for tacos. Mike ignored me. He grabbed a bucket of salt from beneath the counter and started tracing a massive circle on the floor. That's when I realized we were about to dive headfirst into some hardcore demon-banishing nonsense. Mike pointed at me. Rule 1, don't leave the salt circle. Rule 2, if something speaks to you, don't engage. I swallowed. And rule 3? Mike grinned. If it gets too close, hit it with Diablo Sauce. This had officially become the strangest job in existence. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the headlight-less car pulled up again. I knew it was coming, but this time, the doors creaked open. A figure emerged. Its face was obscured. Just a tall, shadowy silhouette wrapped in shifting darkness. It drifted toward the entrance. The air inside dropped to an icy chill. Frost crept across the windows. Then, from the back freezer, bang. 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 Mike didn't flinch. He stepped into the salt circle and motioned for me to do the same. I complied. The shadow stopped at the doors. It didn't pace. It didn't advance. It simply stood there, observing us. Then, in that same warped, unnatural voice, it whispered, "Return it." I had no idea what it meant. I didn't care. I just wanted it gone. Mike tossed me another bottle of Diablo Sauce. Instinctively, I hurled it. The bottle struck its chest and burst. The effect was immediate. The shadow let out a blood-curdling shriek and ignited, burning like something out of a supernatural exorcism. The freezer door slammed open, and another chilling screech rang out. Then, boom! The entire building rattled. The lights blew out. And then, silence. No movement. No whispers. The darkness had disappeared. Mike let out a long breath. Well, that should do it. I turned to him, my brain still reeling. Dude, did we just exorcise a Taco Bell? He grinned. Looks like it. The next day, I braced myself for more hauntings. But none came. No eerie whispers in the headset. No ghostly Supreme Dude. No unsettling parking lot apparitions. It was over. And word spread fast. Within a week, rumors circulated that Taco Bell's hauntings had mysteriously ceased. But only Mike and I knew the truth. Because of what we did. Because of the Diablo Sauce. Somehow, against all odds, we had purged whatever dark force lingered in this place. And just like that, the evil never returned. I still worked at Taco Bell after that. And yeah, I still hated the job. But at least now, I didn't have to serve ghostly customers. And honestly, that felt like a win to me. So, guys, could Taco Bell have been built on cursed land, connected to an ancient ritual, or the result of a forgotten deal with something supernatural? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.